Nancy, take it away.
Okay. Well, I have a question and I want everyone here to answer this. Why did you come tonight? Now, I mean like a short answer. Diane Okumenko, you're top on my screen, so you answer.
Okay.
Was there anything that you hope to gain from tonight?
I came to learn. I know the temple side of Family Search, but I want to like narrow down how to find people outside of the country.
Outside of the country, meaning Russia?
Russia or Germany or Canada.
Okay.
Were you there that Saturday that I gave a talk about that? The class about that on that Saturday?
No, I wasn't there.
Might go to what did we get to record that, Heather? Did it ever
No.
did it get recorded by chance?
You're talking about the
Saturday presentation? Yeah.
I think it is recorded.
Okay.
So I haven't
Well,
downloaded it.
we need to send you that. That would be a good introduction for you because I did talk about immigration and some ideas about finding things. I'm also happy to help with you one-on-one. Help meet with you.
Okay. Diane, how come you were here tonight?
Me, Diane?
How come, yes. How come you came tonight?
I'm in charge.
Okay. Trevor, how come you came tonight?
The internet's being crazy.
Yeah, sorry. I came because I'm trying to absorb as much knowledge as I can about researching my ancestors and kind of building a sort of a mental framework so that I can help more in the future in that area because I'm not very good right now, but I'm getting a lot better with every class, so I'm really grateful.
Good. Okay. Michelle, why are you here?
Well, kind of like he said, just the more I see it, maybe when I try it, it'll go a little smoother using Family Search, and probably right now Ancestry is the bigger need, but anyway, just to learn what I can learn.
Okay. Thanks, Alice. Michelle?
I'm having mild tech problems today, but I think I've got it all settled down. Okay.
Okay.
Why am I here today? I'm here because I want to know how to, I guess get some people in my ward to kind of catch fire, to spread some of that enthusiasm for family history work so that, that we can see some of those blessings flow into our ward on a ward level.
Very good. Okay. Heather, why are you here?
Be a support.
She's the one that keeps our Zoom going. We couldn't do it without her. Okay. Anne, from Anne's iPad, we can't see a picture of you. If you can hear us, would you please tell us briefly why you're here tonight?
I'm here because Helen Cox gave me a reference and said it was going to be a good program, and I love Family Search, so I'm here.
She's from my former ward, so that's from my former ward.
Okay. Well, Anne, we're glad you're here. Jeff, why are you here? We're each briefly stating why we came.
Multiple reasons, but I wanted to see what I can find out or learn, pick up here.
Okay. Angel.
Yes. Why am I here tonight? To see what exciting, fun things you're going to do at the Family History Library.
At the library. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Helen Cox. Why did you come tonight?
I'm like Michelle. I'm just really anxious to learn things that can inspire our ward and bless our ward as far as family history on how to engage people and have them start feeling the spirit of Elijah and just get excited about being a part of this work.
Okay. Very good. Kyle, why did you come tonight?
Yes, I came because just to learn more, obviously, and to see what I could do see what I could take home for the Freedom Second Ward to help create a good family history experience for them.
Great. I liked all of your answers. Oh, John, I didn't ask you. Or Helen, I missed both of you. The pictures on my screen rearranged. John, why are you here?
Responsibility.
Okay.
I have a calling to serve the Family History Center, and I have a calling to do the work of my ancestors. For the past 10,000 years, my ancestors have been waiting for me to do their work. And I have a responsibility to them. And by coming here, I learn something new almost every time I come. And that helps me understand the procedures so that I can go in and find those things and then maybe teach somebody along the way as they come into the Family History Center.
Good. Helen.
I'm like Michelle and Helen Cox. I want to know how to motivate my ward to do their family history. I know how to research and all that, but I just don't know how to bring them to the water.
Oh man, yes. Now, each of you had a different answer. They all had common threads, but they were each different. That is the same way, same thing you're going to find as you do what our lesson tonight is about. Tonight, our lesson is
they can't hear me.
Pardon? Tonight, our lesson is about how can we create a family history experience that will meet the needs of our friends and ward members so that they can have what we use the term family history experience that will help them become invested in family history and want to do more. Each person that we want to help is going to have a different reason that they would like to be helped. Nobody here said I came screaming and kicking, but I got here anyway. But there will be some people probably that are like that in the course of the time that we work with family history. So tonight we're going to talk about what a family history experience is and how we might go about getting people interested so that they will let us help them get excited about family history. But I wanted you to realize that everybody in your ward is at a different place and is going to have different answers to your question. So what might your question be? Probably your first question will be, Heavenly Father, help me figure out who I should approach about their family history. Sometimes we'll just be inspired we think about somebody and wonder how they're doing. But we will either go to somebody because of inspiration or because they're next to us in the hall at church or whatever, or because they called us on the phone and asked us. And we will have a chance to work with them to help them have a family history experience. Now, sometimes we are going to very much seek this out, particularly, and maybe call it our calling. So, for example, I was reading today in my ward's family history plan. Each ward is supposed to have a family history and temple plan. So I got a copy of ours this afternoon and I read through it. And it says that Each member of the ward should be helped to understand Family Search and the Family Search app and how to use them. And that there should be enough consultants that the whole ward can be reached, and that move-ins and move-outs won't greatly affect who are the Family History Center consultants. And then the number 5, the last one on the list, is help each ward member have a personalized family history experience. Help Elijah in his work. So that is the one thing at the end, is the thing that we're after, is how can we help people in our circle of influence, whether it be our ward or not, be able to have a personalized family experience. So as I said, we might have prayed for an answer, then gotten an answer as to who specifically we should talk to. Then when we talk to them, we could say, gee, I'd really like to help you with your family history. How's it going? What have you done? And they might say, oh, I have a brick wall. Or they might say, oh, my grandma's done it all. Or they might say, I am so busy right now with school and work that it's not even on my radar. Or they might say, oh, I'm glad you asked, because I've been trying to figure out how to do such and so. Or they might say, well, I'm not really interested in family history, but I would like to put my grandma's picture on Family Search. The variety of answers that we're going to get is very extreme, because every person that we talk to is going to have a little bit different of an answer. Just like mostly the only people tonight that had the same answers were Michelle and Helen Cox. And everybody else's answer was a little bit different. So we're going to talk about what could we do once we have talked to that person and they have said, yes, I'd like some help, or given us a little hint that they're interested in one thing or another thing. So I think I'm going to kind of go out of order on my list and give you an example of what happened to me a couple of weeks ago. My sister was at a family reunion for her husband's family. And one of the big things that happened at this family reunion was the unveiling of a book that had been assembled about all of the siblings' mothers. And my brother-in-law put it all together and had it printed and distributed it to each of his siblings and nieces and nephews that were there. And so one of his sisters said, I would like my daughter to know something. She knows her father and she knows her grandfather, but she doesn't know her great-grandfather. I would like her to know something about him. So Alice calls me and says, oh, how do we find out about this great-grandfather? And so I spent a couple of minutes with Harriet. I've never met Harriet before. I've heard her talk about through the years, but I had never met her. But they gave me a couple of dates and information, which I wrote down on the piece of pad that you always have beside you when you're doing family history. And we just looked him up in the census. And we found out some things about the census from him in the census that were brand new information for this sister-in-law. And it provided information about why he left his home in the South and went north to find employment in the North. And I think that bit of information was enlightening to her, that he had wanted his family to have benefits and advantages that he didn't have in the South. And so they moved north. That was a family history experience that I had with Harriet that I had never guessed when the phone rang that that's what it was going to be. And it ended up that I looked up a couple of more things and called her back, and she answered some questions and looked up a couple of more things and called her back. And she personally was hesitant to open up an account on Family Search until she talked to her daughter. She wasn't quite sure about privacy rules, if they were really private. So she wanted to talk to her daughter first. But we were able to have a family history experience. And after we finished, I was really excited. I helped somebody find out about their family, things that they wanted to know. So most of you are going to work with somebody who either has an account at Family Search or who else would like an account at Family Search. So let's go to, I'm gonna share my screen, and then we're gonna look up the helps that the church has given us as we do this. So, and I'm gonna have to move. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see the pictures of all of you here, and I'm gonna have to, I think I'm gonna move you to this side. And I won't see all of you, but I'll see some of you. When I have opened up Family Tree, and I can log in either by going to Tree, in which case it will automatically pull up my login, or else I can go over here to log in and log in. Now, so that puts me logged in. Then if I click on this question mark, it brings up this Help Center. But if I go to the very bottom of Help Center, the word is Helper Resources. And I can click on Helper Resources. And here are all kinds of articles, all kinds of information, including if this is our calling, what are some things we're going to want to do about our calling? How do we get some basic training? Here's some basic training. And videos about different things that are going to help us as family history consultants. But I'm going to go to the section on this side, the right-hand side, called Planner. And so it says that I have already, am helping, here it says I'm helping, and I've got down here my husband's name and my brother-in-law's name. Now, if I wanted to help somebody specific in my ward or somebody else, I would click on the words Add Someone. And it gives me this screen, and I fill it out. Then I go do Next. And then it's going to give me the opportunity to send that person an email. And it goes through a little bit quicker if it's somebody in your ward, but it doesn't have to be somebody in your ward. So today I added 2 people to my planner. I added my husband and I added my brother-in-law. And so I went through that routine with both of them, and they said, yes, I could add them. And then I waited a couple of minutes and nothing happened. So I clicked this refresh button up here, and then it happened. And they were added down here that said that they had been accepted and I could help them. So when that happens with my brother-in-law, if I click on his name, suddenly, instead of seeing my family search account, I see his. And it says here, you are helping Wilkes P. Covey. And so now it gives me some options here. And the first thing is that sometimes you have to do an eye catcher to get people interested. So this lists some different eye catchers that you might have. And if you click on these, you will get assorted information. And so none of World War II enlistment records, that might be something that Wix would be interested in. And it says, yes, your ancestor, your relative enlisted in World War II. And that is in fact his dad. And it tells information about his dad and gives me a chance to look at the record that tells me about his dad in World War II. So that was an idea of a way that I might get him interested. Children particularly also like this kind of an activity. One thing that is done a lot is, if you're going to meet with the whole family, is you look up one of the ancestors of the person and dress up the children in the family and tell them a family history story, or have them tell you the story with them dressed up as actors. And that is often done. One of the most successful stories that I saw, and I was not able to find the link to that, but a couple of years ago in a Roots Tech class for consultants, they showed a video about a family who had invited an elderly convert sister in their ward over, and the children taught her how to use Family Search and helped her find a way, taught her how to prepare names for temple work. And it was very successful, not only for the elderly sister, but also for the children that did the teaching of how to prepare the work for for temple work. And no doubt the parents had already taught them that and had worked through it. But so that is one idea here of activities that you can use. I'm going to go a little bit out of order and go over here to my name and settings. And I'm going to show you how you can get permission to look at this person's Family Search account. You go to your name, then you go to settings, then under settings, you go to notifications. And under let's go to permissions, I guess. Under permissions, it's going to be how they have to fill out their, I don't think it's going to do it. What they have to fill out in order for you to be able to help them. And so if under this permissions, they have to say, yes, they want to be helped, and there will be there a helper ID number. And one of the ways you can navigate that original screen that showed who I was helping is by using that helper number. That helper number is usually the last 5 numbers of somebody's temple recommend or membership number, but it is not always the case. But unless they have changed it or unless they are a non-member, that will be the code that you use to get permission. Because I asked Wix today, it was already in my list and I did not have to ask him again for permission. But in case you ever have troubles getting through with somebody, that would be the reason there. One of the things that I am going to want to do, other than look at that list of activities that are possible, is I am going to want to go to Wix's tree. And Wix's tree, it had more than this on it today. It had a lot more on it than that today. I can look at his tree in different kinds of formats. This is the landscape format, but if I look at the fan chart, what happened? I do not know. When I looked at this earlier today, it showed me all of his mother's side of the family as well. Now it is only showing me the side, his father's side. And for the sake of the lesson, I'm not going to stop and figure that out now. But so this is his father's side of his tree. And the way it's written now, I just see their names. And so this would be called family lines. If I go instead to birth country, I will see where they came from. And if you look, all of his family, with just very few exceptions, are from the United States or from British colonial America. And I knew that. I knew his family was longtime Americans. Here is a view of the fan chart that shows who in his family has a lot of sources listed. And you can tell a lot of people have done research on his family. There's quite a few here that have a lot of sources. These are the people that have stories written about them under memories. Gee, there's almost none. Here are the people with photos. So if on these couple, if they're white or pale, then they don't have very many stories. Now, if we were to come over instead to some of his mother's line, which isn't showing, we would find signers of the Declaration of Independence and Pocahontas and other people that have been in the United States for a really long time. And they would have more stories on their little section. Research helps. This is something we're really going to want to think about if we are wanting to give him something else to do. So anything here that's blue, the computer algorithms have already found sources that are probably him that are in actual records. So if I could show him some of these records, he would see them listed, whether it be his father's military record or something else. Also, if I click on anybody that is purple, it is going to give me a list of things that might be good steps to go along to do next with his family. Then, if he was a member of the church, down here there would also be the word temple opportunities or something like that. And I would be able to see everybody on his tree that someone has requested temple work for, or that there's enough information to request temple work, or someone who has almost enough information to request temple work. But since Wicks is not a member of the church, that word does not show up here for him. But you see, if I were talking to Wicks, I would have all of these different hints that I could help him look at with me to see if those were who he wanted to do. Now, specifically, he would probably want to know about William Elijah. And so we would probably, if we looked on we would hope that we would have research suggestions for William Elijah, which we don't, but we do have for his wife. So that would give us ideas just right then of what to do. We would not have to be experts in family history research in order to begin to show him something that would be interesting. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to my husband and I'm going to, let's kind of walk through and see if when I pulled his thing up, if there was any information. There's the same things to look at that were there before. But also over on this other side is the word discovery ideas. So when I helped him this afternoon, and always it's sometimes hard to replicate what you did before, and I'll feel really bad if I can't. And I am not succeeding in replicating that quick what I did. So let's see if we can come back to his tree. So I click at his tree, and again, see, he has lots of hints, and he has a couple of research suggestions. The person that showed up this afternoon that I'm not replicating is Kenover. It should be under discovery ideas. Well, let's look up hints. This would be just the hints. And none of them pulled up. Darn it, darn it, darn it. This fellow's last name was Kenover. So we're going to go back to that tree like we started and find the Kenovers on his chart. Does anybody see the Kenovers? I was expecting to see them about there. Charles, do you see them?
Look.
When I pulled up, and it was the son, the hint that it gave me was for the son of, okay, I'm going to go back to his tree. I'm going to do, that's not going to work.
If you move down a little bit, it looks like the bottom of the tree is hidden.
Okay. So I can change that either by changing the number of generations or by moving it up and down. I would expect it to be right about here. I do not know his family tree as well as I know mine.
Nancy, why don't you go and try that other gal?
Which other gal did you have in mind, Alice?
Melissa Elizabeth Brown or something.
Okay, we'll try. Well, that's not a hint. Let's try instead one with a hint. Let's try James Washington Rex. The advantage of the other one is that I've already followed through with it and found out what new I learned. Just on this one person that I had hints today that I clicked on, I found his obituary and his find a grave sources. And when I looked at his obituary and his find a grave, I found out his wife's name, who was not previously on here, and his daughter, who was not previously on Family Search. So that gave us temple work for 2 people, and it showed up in about 1 minute. So that was kind of what I had in mind there. Here is James Washington Westbrook. And this says there's a hint for Washington Westfront. Now that does not sound to me like it's the same person. Margaret Reeves is somebody that's in his family, but I do not believe that is his. It also says that in Utah death certificates, well, this person is not from Utah. So those hints are not going to be what I'm going to want to show somebody when I'm trying to get them interested in family history. So let's try instead. Well, let's try Margaret Ann Reeves. And that's kind of what it listed that other fellow's wife as, isn't it? So here are Alabama deaths for Margaret Reeves. And it's spelled way different, isn't it? Well, here it's spelled more her name. And here she says she's married to Wash Westbrooks and that she has a daughter named Daisy Minnie Prather. And in this death hint, it is not for Margaret Reeves, it is for their daughter. And so it's going to tell us that the father and mother are Wash Westbrooks and Margaret Reeves, but the person that died was Daisy Minnie Prather. Now, let's go ahead and look at the other sources of Margaret Reeves, because before I take this to show my husband, if I'm helping him have an experience, I want to know what other sources are under Margaret Reeves, and if this is consistent with what we find. So he's actually going to find them. Here it says that Margaret is in the household of John Reeves in 1870. Well, that's worth looking at to make sure that it's the right family member. And Jason Cumberland is looking at this hint and attaching the source. And I have no idea who Jason Cumberland or who Jacob Wright are, but that might mean that he has cousins or second cousins or third cousins that are also doing temple work for this ancestor of his. So that's going to be a very good hint for me. It's also got her in the 1920 census. There she's married, and it's got find a grave. Now, you know, I always like find a grave, so let's look at find a grave and see what find a grave showed us on her. The other fellow that I looked at on his family today, as I looked at find a grave, it said that he had a biography attached to his find a grave. And I went to the biography and found out some information about the wife and daughter. So here is, attached to here is a photograph, which is actually a copy of her obituary. And she died in 1931. Here are listed are her parents, her siblings, and her children. Now, if we didn't know very much about her, two of her children. That would be a whole lot of information. So let's just go back and look and see what we know about her in regards to family members. And there's lots of children listed, and a couple of siblings and her parents. Now, just in this quick of a look, I did not find information that I didn't already know. But to have that obituary and to be able to read it through, maybe I would find something new in the obituary. Lots of times in an obituary, everybody isn't listed. So that would be great information. And so as I am planning to have this experience with Charles or with Wicks or with someone else, I'm going to want to look at a couple of these people and write down enough information that I can follow through. Now, if I had written down today, the one Thomas Kenauer, I would have been able to find it tonight. That's why you always make notes, even though I didn't that time, I should have. And then I would have that inspiration so that when I went to see Charles and I said, oh, let's look up, oh, why don't we choose him? And I could guide him so that as he looked at things, he would in fact find people on his family that were inspiring him.
Which is one of the things that happened when Harriet looked at her information. These were new people that she'd never heard of. They were people that she thought her daughter would find inspiring. And so it was kind of like, oh, this person is part of Naomi's history, and Naomi was interested in it when she was told about it. So that was the experience that they had. I'm just going to say really quick, at that same reunion that Nancy talked about, I got my brother-in-law. I said, I know you for a couple of months had an ancestry thing. I know you're always talking about family stories. I have a place you can put these stories down, that you're always talking about. Well, my uncle, great uncle, so-and-so, and Jim's 80. So it went back quite a ways. And so I said, let's just sit down and set up a family search program for you. So I got him signed up. Man, he has studied that thing. He knows who he's related to in the 1600s. He has gone wild with it, but it also gives him a chance to write down some of the history that he knows that nobody else does. He is the last one.
If he's 80 and he's the last one, who else is going to write this down?
Exactly. Now, and he knows the stuff. So, I really think that getting him involved was doing. And who did I call? My sister, Nancy. We're interested in this guy, and what should we do? So, because I didn't know the fast things to do, and Nancy does.
And as we help one person in our ward, we will begin to make a reputation that, oh, she helped me with that when I needed help. He helped me with that. Oh, maybe she'll know what to do. And a lot of times when we are asked for help, it is not going to be, please sit me down and help me find by a hint or a temple work that needs to be done. Help me really make a foundation of how to do my family history. Oftentimes it's going to be something much, much smaller. I did make this list of what some people might want to do in family history. Some people, as you ask them, they might say, oh, I've got a picture of my mother I'd like to put on. Can you tell me how to add a picture or a story? Some people are going to say, our bishop has challenged us to, when our temple opens up, to do the name that we've researched. Some people is going to say, I've heard about descendancy research. How do I find out if my ancestor has relatives, descendants that don't have their temple work done yet? Rarely somebody will say, I've got a brick wall. Can you help me get past the brick wall? Some will say, I don't even know how to get started. I'd do it, but it's too much work to get started. Somebody else will say, I keep thinking about my such and so. I can't get her out of my mind. Can you help me learn more about her so I can figure out why she's always in my mind? I'm going to kind of end this with another story that happened at my house. Diane had given her class No Empty Chairs, and it had really inspired me. And I thought, now that's something that my son-in-law would do. So my son-in-law came to visit, and I tried to show him how to choose an ancestor and look and see if their descendants had all of their temple work done. And he was not interested. He said, well, our bishop has asked us all to find, they live in Kansas City, all to find the name of an ancestor that we can do the work for when the Kansas City temple opens again. And I was just really trying to get him interested. And he got up and left and walked to the other room. And I thought, I guess the time is not right for Brian to do family history. And so I just kind of, went on with something else. And he came back in a few minutes and he said, I had to leave the room so you wouldn't see me cry. While you were talking to me, I realized that I need to find my grandmother's family in Brazil. And they are waiting for me now, and I need to do something with them. So that was my opening. I said, well, let's look on Family Search and see what's already on Family Search about them. And we saw that there had been a source added by somebody that he didn't recognize. A couple of days later, he was at his dad's house and he was showing his dad, look, there's more added here about your mother than was added before. And he opened it up to show his dad, and about 5 more sources had been added since he and I had talked. So he received that inspiration to think about his grandmother at the same time that somebody else in Brazil was finding information and working on his grandfather. We do not know when the Lord is going to open up that door for us to help. So we need to be willing to help, and sometimes we have to be willing to let it ride. But the Lord will help us when we make the efforts to help him. He's not going to help us as much if we don't make the efforts to help him. But certainly, by me trying to find what Brian might be interested in and then switching once he told me, maybe I should have asked him in the first place what he was interested in. Or when we prayerfully have an inspiration to talk to somebody in our ward, that's when the doors will open. And we need to maybe not be lectury about it, but just be real open. Jeff, you might like hearing this. Today at dinner, my daughter said, well, Jeff in our ward is really trying to get us all to know our 8 grades. Now, I can't help but think that probably in Pioneer, in Franklin First Ward, they probably have a ward family history plan that says this year, let's encourage people to know their 8 great grandparents. So I said to Carrie, do you know who yours are? And we talked a little bit about them. And that gave me a chance to reinforce in her mind her great 8 greats and who they were, and to help her be, again, a little more familiar with them. And she's probably got so much on her plate right now that she's not going to do a lot of family history this month. But she is going to think about those great grandmothers that we talked about at dinner today. So by Jeff's asking Carrie today at church, do you know your 8 greats? That gave her a chance to reinforce in her mind who they were. So that was an example, I think, of a ward family history plan working. I'm going to unshare my screen. I guess to do that, first of all, I have to move your pictures out of the way. Then I have to stop sharing the screen. And in fact, I wish I would have done that so I could have seen your faces as I finished talking. Do this. You're gonna find that the Lord will help you in ways that you don't expect as you talk to and help family members or members of your ward while you're on your mission. Does anybody have any comments they would like to make before we say goodbye and have closing prayer? Did I see somebody wiping away a tear?
Yeah, I was able to help my parents get my uncle and my grandmother's work done this last 2 weeks. And so it's a real blessing. I gotta tell you, there's nothing like it. There's just like all the feeling that this is real. It's a real thing that happens. And preparing her name for the temple 2 years ago, I have never had such an easy time doing family history work as I did with her name. So it's absolutely wonderful to be able to go through the temple with your own family names.
Especially somebody that maybe you knew or that your parents knew. Yes, yes. One of my most choice experiences since the temple has been open again was a fellow temple worker that I helped in initiatory get the initiatory ordinances done for her great grandmother. And I think at the end of that experience, we were both crying. So yes, this work is real. Yes, the Lord blesses us. And yes, we can do it. And we don't do it all at once. We do it little steps, little bites. But we certainly can do it. And in some cases, it might not lead to the temple today. Alice's brother-in-law, that's not going to lead to the temple today. But he's also a non-member. But it's going to provide that information for somebody else that later, when they get that temple work done, they will be able to know him, know the people that they're doing the work for. And I think that when we go beyond this veil, we'll be able to recognize people and know who they are. Family history is really on both sides of the veil. It's not just something we talk about here, but it is real on both sides. Jeff, would you please give us our closing prayer?
Okay, I'd be happy.
Thank you.
Just a sec. Our eternal Father in heaven, we are grateful for thy confidence in us and thy for the privilege we have of being called this calling and to be able to work in the church. We are ever desirous and in need of thy inspiration and thy help, that we may fulfill our callings in a good way and the way thou would have us to. We may inspire ourselves and others to take this opportunity to help others and to bring them to the gospel of Jesus Christ, that we may build up each other and build up the kingdom on both sides of the veil, and pray thy blessings to be with us and bless our efforts, that we may be inspired and be able to do this good work. We pray these blessings and do so in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all for coming.
Yes, thank you very much. Excellent, Nancy. It was exactly what I was hoping for.
Oh, good.
I learned something today.
What did you learn, John?
How to use the fan chart to look up sources.
Okay.
Very simple, but yet I had never done that. And that would be a good way to kick open some doors, maybe.
Okay.
So don't leave. Give me a report on how you're doing with what we talked about last week.
What?
Angel. I was asking her to give me a report if she's been able to do anything.
Well, I talked to Ben's mom for an hour.
Awesome.
And I asked her because they hired a genealogist to find the names that, and you know, all the ones we had from that village, or that, where's it called? VOLGA? Stall.
The Volga German, yeah.
Yeah, the Volga Germans. And she said that the genealogist is at a standstill and he can't find where they are. They're stuck. They don't know, like, they know all the people from that village or area, but they don't know where they came from.
I mean, they
Does
might
that
have
make
come.
sense?
Did you talk to the village coordinator? Did the genealogist use those census books at all?
I do not know. And I was going to ask, because we're recorded, I was going to find the genealogist's name and then send you a message and say, is this person good or not? Or if they're wasting their money.
So they're
yeah.
still hiring the genealogist then? They're still.
Yes. But I don't know if.
Well, if you find out, then I could even communicate with the person and just see what they've done, so that we know what else can be done as well.
Okay. And then I did find one family Bible that's in German that I don't know what's written in it.
Oh,
right.
Wonderful.
You're
Yeah.
going to give me those copies of those pages, right?
Yeah. So I need to get the copies and see if somebody can translate it for me. And then talking to Ben's mom, I am the only one who is interested in any of the records. And no one else in the family is at this time.
The one thing too, depending on if the genealogist is a member or not, they may not be scouring those censuses for all the family members, you know, for all the possibly related people as well. And
Right.
so we may want to, I just need to communicate with them. If you can find out, and maybe I could just say, so it's not a threat, you know, I'll tell them you're not being hired. Just say, I've done some before and I just had some questions or something. So.
Right. So I was going to get the information. And then she actually has given me the genealogy.
Oh, okay.
Ben's mom. And so I need
so you can add it in. Oh, awesome. Okay.
So what I need to do, Diane, is maybe invite you to my house.
Yeah.
And sit down and say,
what do we do
this
next?
is all the information. What do? I don't want to duplicate it, but I do also want to find out, you know, like, who is Peter Smith's dad? And did Peter Smith's have any brothers or sisters, you know? Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Okay.
So what Diane and Angel are talking about is a pretty advanced research
experience
problem, which Angel is needing somebody pretty advanced to work with her on it, and to guide her and who else to help her with it. And so that is what Diane and Angel are working together on, a family history experience that Angel is already fired up on.
Yes.
And that
I'm
now,
fired up too.
and now Predwin, her mother-in-law, is anxious to have somebody else help her. And as Predwin ages, her memory is less clear. So that is probably a very important time for Angel and her husband Ben to work on this. Sometimes we have to work on things when the environment is right for us.
And feel inspired, impressed to do it. You know, she felt impressed, or she said, let's get together and talk. We were going to talk about descendancy. But instead I just said, oh, you have Volga Germans.
And I was like, I don't know what that means. And then Diane explained, and I'm like, that's our family story.
And I wouldn't have known what that meant either.
No, and she found like resources, and there's like just the society just for those people. So
wow.
Cool.
They have a village coordinator. They have the censuses. I haven't seen as many censuses for the villages I have for hers.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
So, and and they have books I can buy.
No, I'm not going. I want to say something.
Oh, sorry.
So you have to be careful when you invite Diane to your home, because by the time she leaves, you've got so much work to do, you can't believe it.
Well, I'm hoping so, John, because I felt when Diane taught that class on descendancy, I did my family, and I found all the outliners, is that what I want to say? Like the uncles and the aunts and the babies that were not included because there was no direct line to them. So because they didn't have children, they were left off. So I went through and cleaned up my family line, who I thought was completely done, but they weren't.
Right.
So she taught the descendancy class again, and I thought, I'm done. And the Spirit said, oh no, you have the Metzgers. I'm like, oh, yes, I do. So I think it's time. I feel very connected. So we're going to go. It's National Grandparents Day today.
Oh.
And so, yeah.
I'm a grandmother. They should be celebrating me.
Yeah. Yes. So we're going to go see Ben's mom and dad today and go down there and talk a little bit more.
Good.
So,
Thank you, Angel. I'm excited.
you're welcome. Yes, I'm excited too.
When we hear each other's successes, it helps us work harder and be open to successes of our own.
Diane Okermenko, if you want me to come and help you at some point, because Russia, if you know the place, I have that guy over there, that, of course, he costs money, but,
Well, and your mother-in-law is still in Russia, isn't she?
Yeah, she's in Saratov.
But he may have some ideas even that we could ask him or whatever.
Yeah.
But German, I can help you with. I can help you try and find the village there and stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of the ones that where my great grandfather was from are over on the where it was flooded recently. So it's kind of interesting.
Well, we certainly hope that the church or other places were able to relocate some records before too many natural disasters hit.
Microfilmed, yeah.
There's even a video that the church has put out about some little island that got flooded, but all of the family records were destroyed except that Salt Lake had a microfilm copy. And so Salt Lake gave them replaced their copy from the microfilm. And so everybody was happy.
Yeah, my other relatives were in the Paradise Genealogical Society, and so when it burned, the church had all their records too. So I was like, yes.
Now, is this Paradise, California?
Paradise, California.
Well, certainly records are being affected constantly. The records from the courthouse in Cortez, Colorado are stacked on the stairs because there's not room for them inside the building. Well, I think they've rented another building across the street. Now they have more space, but it used to be in dire straits.
I feel for that.
Did you have comments, Elsie?
Thanks again, guys. It's all pretty exciting.
Yes, and now we just want to help those others in our ward be excited, don't we? And see them one by one invested and ready to do more. Jeff, tell us why what got you thinking about your grade 8s and them in your ward?
My sister's idea.
Oh.
So it's something that she's done. She's in like the same similar calling, and I think it's a good idea. I think it's an easy place to start. You know, I know my grade 8s by name and can quote them and tell you at least a little smidgen about each one. To me, there's that movie Coco. We're going to do an activity based around the Coco, the movie, and it's kind of sad to think that in 4 or 5 generations, people won't even know your name.
Yeah.
Kind of sobering to think of that, that your ancestors, your descendants won't even know who you are, hardly. So even just to know your great grandparents, I think it's a notable, and turn your hearts to the fathers, that kind of thing. It's a notable and fairly easy, and it's not that far back. And I think we should all at least go back. People should generally all be able to at least go back that far and know a bit about them and be able to give their names.
Agreed. Many of you have heard my story about when Alice and I went to the cemetery in Farmington, New Mexico, and took with us a cemetery stone for our great-grandfather because he was buried there, buried during the Depression. No doubt money was scarce. And he was buried without a stone. And so Alice and I, one Labor Day, Charles took a stone for him and planted it on his grave. And it was an experience that we tucked away in our hearts as being our connection to him. I've heard that teenagers don't like Zoom, that they're tired of it from school, that when they have a Zoom, say a Zoom young women meeting, that they all mute themselves and hide their pictures because they're tired of Zoom and they don't want to make comments. I'm glad that we're different. I enjoy seeing all of your faces. When time is over and we've had the closing prayer, it's fine with me if people don't leave right away, because I like seeing your faces. I like hearing your stories. I like having you as my friends. That reminds me of something. My husband has always liked the number 7. He has always felt